I am a former Ajumobi, popularly known as Ifi Melody, your sparkling woman on air, both radio and about to go on TV too. This is, of course, Face Youth monthly mental health meeting. It holds once in a month, and it's a very informative and educative one. We've been having this, and it's been quite insightful. I want to welcome all of you to it. I believe some of you have been here before. This is not your first time, but we would like to have introductions done. I am calling in from Enugu, Nigeria. I'm a broadcast journalist. I report with Solid 100.9 FM and currently with Afia TV here in Enugu, Nigeria, Africa. So please, let's feel free. Let's get to know ourselves a little bit before we move on to the main thing for today. Let's just introduce ourselves briefly. This shouldn't take time. Kindly tell us your name, what you do, and where you're calling in from. And also let us know if you've been in the meeting before or not. So please, let's go ahead. I don't think there's any particular order to that. Just, mention your name and we'll allow you to speak. Okay, maybe we'll start from our speakers. Chinwe is here already. Chinwe, can we hear you?
Hey, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chinwe. I'm calling from the UK.
All right. You're welcome. Glad to have you today.
Thank you.
Ugwamaka, can we hear you, please?
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Dr. Chukwaneke Ugwamaka. I'm calling in from Enugu as well. I'm a psychiatrist. I currently work in UNTH. Itukoza here in Enugu as well. So I also run a mental health platform on Instagram. I call Are You Who You Are. I've done a couple of these meetings before. I'm happy to be here today again. Thank you.
Welcome, Dr. Chuko. Glad to have you here. Okay, so we're both in Enugu. That's good to know. Power of technology connecting us. All right, Angela, great. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Angie Great, and I'm a singer-songwriter, and I've been in Face Youth for, I think, since 2018, and I'm happy to have you all here. Thank you all for joining, and thank you, the host, the speaker just now, for having me from Enugu. And I'm originally from Africa, in Nigeria. I'm also from here as well. So I live in Aberdeen as well. So, but thank you all for joining. It's just Angie and Dagrit. Thank you.
All right. I think I saw Chedoze. Chedoze, please introduce yourself. Hello, Chedoze. Okay, while he's trying to come on, please let's have Chinwe. Chinwe Chukura, please kindly introduce yourself. Moses comes in after Chinwe, and then Hope after Moses. Please let's just introduce ourselves quickly and we'll move on. Tell us your name, where you're calling in from, and if possible, what you do. Hello, Chinwe. All right, I see Stella. Stella, can you please say hello? Oh, sorry, I Chinwe, you've introduced yourself before. Yes, that's true. Stella, please go ahead.
It's so consistent with his typically rock solid with the
Hope, you can go ahead. Hope.
Okay, Hope Abiludalade, and I'm connected from Kaduna, Nigeria. I'm a fashion and textile designer.
Welcome, Hope. Good to have you here. Is this your first time?
No, this is my second time.
Okay. Who invited you?
Onalo Edit.
All right. So, Edith, go ahead and introduce yourself, please. Edith, are you here? Okay, let's move on. Please. Ifnaya, please kindly introduce yourself. Raymond, be on standby. Vic to
Hello.
be on standby as well. Okay, go ahead.
Hello. Good afternoon. I'm
Good
Idis
afternoon.
Onalo. I'm a fashion designer and a humanitarian.
Edith, go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm Idis Onalo. I'm a fashion designer and a humanitarian.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Let's have David. David, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Yes.
All right.
I'm David Onochi. I'm a lawyer. I'm based in Aberdeen.
Is this your first time?
No.
Okay, welcome, David. Let's have Moses. Moses.
Hello, everyone. Okay.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I'm
Hello.
Moses by name.
Okay, Moses, go ahead.
Hello, I'm Moses by name.
Why are you
Yeah,
calling
I'm a
in
creative designer, an identity designer.
All right, thank you, Moses. You're welcome.
In
Great
Nigeria.
to have you. All right, just few information before we go ahead. Our speakers are here and ready to talk to us. We will be rewarding those who invited people. There are two categories of reward. One, it's a train ticket coming from one of our sponsors here, in the UK. So if you are in the UK and you've invited a lot of people on this particular program today, you will be winning a ticket. Also, if you invited a lot of people from Nigeria, you will be winning 10,000 naira. So if you're in UK, you'll be winning a train ticket. And then if you are in Nigeria and you invited the most people, you will be winning 10,000 naira. So we're looking at least someone who has invited between 5 to 10 people. We'll announce that at the end of the event today. You also need to be at the event all through till the end. Hopefully this won't last more than 2 hours and we will be done. There are two segments. We have the mental health discussion, and then we also have the career clinic. And our guest speakers are very ready to take us on both discussions. So we have our speakers. We have Dr. Chuku, who will be taking us through the mental health discussion. And then the career clinic will be by Dominic Anekwe. And when it's time, we will introduce you to her. Right now, we want to bring on our first speaker, that is Dr. Chuku. For the ticket, we will be giving out learner standard class return tickets to the most active participants, and that's courtesy of the sponsor. But we'll tell you more at the end, just to know that if you have invited a lot of persons today, you will be winning something. It's good to reward, consistency and hard work. Face Youth, it's all about that. So there will be giving out something to someone who's done very well today. Now, just before I bring on our speaker, I want to introduce you to Face Youth properly. And to talk to us about Face Youth properly, we will be having Chinwe Chukura do that. So please, we'll have Chinwe Chukura join us right now. Chinwe will be talking to us about Face Youth. And then towards the end, if you have more questions about Face Youth, you can easily type the questions and messages at the end of the event. But over to you, Chinwe. Over to you, Chinwe.
Okay. Thank you very much. And a big welcome to everyone. Thank you so much for joining this edition. I will talk a little bit about Face Youth, what we are and what we do. Face Youth is the Foundation for Advancement of Child Education and Youth Empowerment. And we're a charitable organization and basically committed to improving lives. So improving lives of disadvantaged children, improving lives of the youths. And again, this is in celebration of International Youth Day, which was, I think, August 12th, yeah? So that was the International Youth Day. So this is also in celebration of our youth. This program is aimed at improving the lives of our youths in Scotland, in the UK, and overseas, which includes Nigeria as well. So for over 5 years, Face Youth has been supporting a lot of families, individuals, and communities, empowering the vulnerable and the less privileged. And with the advent of COVID, a lot of people suffered from a lot of mental breakdown, and that is what spurred the need for us to start this monthly programs, to create mental health awareness with the aim to relieve the disadvantage of any sort and give people the opportunity to lead basically fulfilling lives. So we have our speakers here today who would be talking extensively. If you have any questions, you can always drop a message or an email to Face Youth, and we would be able to answers to your questions as far as we can do. So I want to thank you once again, everyone, for joining in, and I hope that you have a very productive time with us today. So thank you very much.
All right. There's a short video clip on Face Youth, but I believe we will play that towards the end of the event. So that's much about Face Youth. If you have more questions, please just hold it towards the end. You can ask. There'll be time for an interactive session. So right now we will go ahead to introduce our first speaker and bring her on. A little bit about our first speaker, who is Dr. Chukwu Amaka. Now, she's a psychiatrist in Enugu State, Nigeria. She has 3 years of clinical and academic practice in psychiatry and clinical psychology. Her primary focus is in substance use prevention and treatment, psychiatry, and general mental health awareness advocacy. She's currently working as a senior resident doctor in the Department of Psychological Medicine of the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital, that is UNTH, Enugu State, Nigeria. She has a Doctor of Medicine degree, MD, from Crimea State Medical University, Russia. She's also, she runs a mental health and overall well-being Instagram page. Are you who you are? Are you who you are? Yeah, and that is you would see the handle there, art, are you who you are? That is the letter R. If you check her out on Instagram, you'll find her with that. So with a warm welcome and round of applause, however you can do it where you are, let us welcome Dr. Chukwu Ugu Amaka to take over and talk to us about mental health and our well-being for today. And this is also in courtesy of the International Youth Day. So she would have some focus too on youth, how youths can stay healthy mentally, especially in this time. We know that there are a lot of things facing them and bringing a lot of challenge that if you hear a lot when it comes to young people, even when it comes to taking their lives, committing suicide, or abusing substance for whatever reason. So Dr. Chukwu will be talking to us. Please, let's welcome Dr. Chukwu. Dr. Chukwu, over to you.
Hello, everyone. I think somebody else is supposed to help me share my slide, though, because there should be a slide, even though it's a very short one. Someone's supposed to share that. Okay, yes, so that's it. So this particular presentation is not going to be a very technical one. This is going to be more, as on a general term. So it's termed mental health and youth. That's actually the theme of today's presentation. So next slide, please. So this is the outline. I'm just going to do a brief introduction, talk about the role of nurture, career path guidance, social media and peer pressure, and then the rise of psychoactive substance use, and then conclude. Then we can ask questions. So by introduction, I think we've noticed that globally, mental health awareness is taking a very big part of the spotlight now, which is a very good thing. And it's becoming more important or evident that mental health is very crucial when it comes to overall well-being. It's no longer just about the physical ailments. And mental health awareness is important in every age group, but there's a reason the youths are being singled out. There's a reason everyone is talking about the youths, especially in line with the International Youth Day. Next slide, please. So what age range qualifies as being in your youth? My dad used to always say this to me sometimes. He says, age is a matter of the mind. I don't think he's the one who originally said this, but he says that to me whenever I talk about my age. He says, age is a matter of the mind. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. So globally, of course, no one really is rigid about what you say as when you're saying somebody is in their youth. You're only as young as you feel. You hear a lot of people say. However, for statistic reasons, statistical purposes, so the age range given for youth is when they talk about people between the ages of 15 and 24 years old. So being in this particular age group is usually very important because when we're talking about mental health challenges, there's so many mental health challenges that can arise during this period. The reason is because of, there's a transition from childhood dependence into adulthood independence, which a lot of us would actually admit is very difficult. Going from being, dependent on someone else to decide the things you want to do, and when you're primarily in front of there, having to be the one to call the shots and accepting whatever consequences that come from that, that can be very challenging. There's a whole lot of, like I said, the amount of decisions to be made during this time can be very challenging. It's when you get to pick the job you want to do, you get to pick a career path and so many other things. So that in itself can be a cause of mental health challenges. Next slide, please. Also, what you have noticed how major difficulties in pre-adolescent years could affect or increase the burden of mental health challenges. What that means is that before, people get to their teenage years, when children are still very little, there is a whole lot that can go wrong if that particular period of a person's life isn't managed properly. So I also talked about the prefrontal cortex. The frontal part of our brain is the part that is primarily responsible for our decision making, our inhibition. Basically, that's what makes us, quote unquote, an adult. There's a reason age of responsibility is anything from 21 years, because it is noted that the prefrontal cortex doesn't develop fully until 21 years old. So that's usually why during that period, impulsivity, where youthful exuberance is called, is why teenagers are more likely to make decisions that they're going to regret later, because they're not really thinking about your prefrontal cortex. Is a part of your brain that makes you scrutinize every detail and weigh the pros and cons. Basically, that's actually the part of our brain that really sets us apart from animals and, of course, younger children. So next slide, please. Now, mental health challenges that can be seen in our youth, I mean, there's a whole lot of them. So anxiety, depression, substance use disorders, eating disorders, and so many others could come up around this time. So talking about the role of nurture. Nature versus nurture is an age-old argument that is used, I mean, to discuss so many views of life discussed over different platforms. And there is a contribution from both of them to nature or nurture. What I have found, though, especially my personal opinion, is that when it comes to our primitive urges, so the reason we like certain, our appetite, for example, how much we eat, our sexual orientations, primitive urges, the ones that basically that are ingrained into us to just want as human beings. Nature plays a more significant role there. However, when it comes to more refined views about the way we see the world and perceive that, nurture plays, I believe, a more important role than nature in that particular aspect. Next slide, please. Which is why it is important to know that when a child's nurture isn't done with the adequate amount of support, care, and attention the child needs, that could open the child up for a whole lot of mental health challenges. What that means is that as a parent or a guardian, that early experience the child has, there is a whole lot that can go wrong if that period is not handled well. So that particular time in a child's life where they are primarily dependent on the people around them to show them what it is they're supposed to expect from life, how they're supposed to react or relate to things around them or people around them, that period is very crucial. So that's why the nurture part of a child's life is actually very important. Next slide, please. So certain really negative life events such as abuse, child abuse in any way, physical, sexual, emotional abuse could predispose an individual to a multitude of mental health challenges. It can't be watered down how much when you look at certain young people who show up with anything from anxiety disorders, depression, to substance use disorders. A lot of the time, if you investigate, there's a very large, because I can't quote a percentage now, a very large number of people who have been through any kind of abuse, any form of abuse. There's a very high chance that that person is going to come down with mental health challenges. Parenting is the most important job an individual can have, or guardianship, anyone, because you don't even have to be a birth parent of a child to be the one to, administer nurture to a child. So nurturing a child, the nurture a child is given can help a child cope with areas where nature may have given them weaknesses. So naturally, some of us are born with certain weaknesses, but the way we are raised, the kind of nurture a person gives can help the person to tackle those weaknesses and be able to cope in life, because life will come with struggles. So that's why that nurture part of it is important. Next slide, sorry. Next slide, please. So a child's nurture, of course, goes beyond financial provisions and firm discipline. For a lot of people, I'm not one to claim to be a parenting expert. I think parenting is a job that nobody is qualified. You don't get born into being a good parent. You make mistakes as individuals. There's no such thing. So you keep trying the best that you can. But for a lot of people, sometimes there's this wrong notion. I think I can stick my neck out as far as and call that a wrong notion, where they believe that when it comes to nurturing a child, or when it comes to being a guardian or a parent for a child, you're talking about the financial provisions and discipline in the child. That goes beyond nurture. Nurture is a whole lot more than that. Being able to provide that child with the right, cushioning and foundation they can use to then form whatever person they're going to become when they have their own adulthood independence rather. So children depend on adults around them to help set a path and equip them with as much tools to navigate the ups and downs of life. So that's basically what, I just said, but the nurture is supposed to prepare them for the future. So now career path guide, talking about the many decisions that teenagers will get to make before they then become, youths, young adults, and then adults proper and all of that. One of the most important decisions we all got to make, and these younger ones will get to make, is the choice of a career. And that usually happens in secondary school. I know for maybe people who were in my own school, as well as people who grew up in my own generation, I guess I can say that, there wasn't much done in the form of career guidance, trying to ask you. I still don't know why. Well, I think I became a doctor because that's what my sister wanted to do, and that's what my dad did. And you had a lot of people, situations where people were just making decisions like that. You're in science class, so you're going to be a doctor, or you're going to be this. Like, there wasn't much when it came to really understanding what it was that we were picking. You have people, a lot of young people till today, writing WAEC and writing JAM. You ask them what do they want to study, they call a course, and then you ask them, okay, so why? And they don't know why. And the problem with that is that a lot of time you have people who pick career paths that honestly play to their weaknesses a whole lot more than their strengths. And what happens is when the person finds themselves down the road, whether in school or even already in those jobs, they will be struggling a whole lot more than they would have if they had picked a career or chosen a career path based on what they actually wanted to be, their strength especially. So there is a great need for career path guidance counselors in secondary schools, or where these children are taking through. I think I see some of that sometimes. I've seen some of that sometimes on TV or in movies where places like the US, have things what they call like career day, where people come and honestly show these people like this is what you're expected to see on this career path as well. Parents and guardians also should try to desist. Again, I'm not trying to tell anyone how to parent their child, but you have a lot of parents sometimes who, before the child has even cut their teeth, they're telling you he's going to be a doctor. And it doesn't matter if that child doesn't want to be a doctor, he's going to be a doctor. It may not be easy sometimes, being a parent and seeing a child picking a career path that maybe doesn't have the right financial security. I know it may not be easy to hear a 15-year-old saying he wants to go off to become a rapper and all of that. And as much as, of course, that can be put into perspective and things like that should be taken into consideration, staying away from deciding rigid paths without, putting in perspective the child's own choices or strengths and weaknesses would honestly help predispose this individual to mental health challenges, because you pick a career that this child doesn't want to do, is going to struggle to be doing. So that's already a guarantee way to make sure that this person is going to have a mental health challenge. Next slide, please. So, of course, there's also a need to guide them during the beginning stage of discovering their sense of purpose. I talked about that a while ago on my Instagram page that was mentioned earlier, where I talked about how having a sense of purpose is very crucial in being, really balanced here on earth. And it's not something that is the easiest thing for people to do. It's not always clear cut or cut and dry the first time around. I did mention that it's not always given at a particular age. There may be times where the person will need to review that and change that as the person goes on. But being there as a guardian or a parent to help this person figure it out as they go on and being supportive is very important and can help reduce that burden, because sometimes the mental health challenges that these people face, because they're really thinking, I should have it all figured out by now. You hear certain young people feeling like their life has no meaning because they don't know what they're doing, and being there as a guardian to tell them that it's not always straightforward. You still have enough time, keep trying this, keep trying that. That's usually very important in reducing the burden of that mental health challenge. Another thing is it's also a good phase sometimes in that during this youth period to teach young people about failure. There is a misconception sometimes that failure is finite, where children are so stressed out and anxious about failing. They're doing everything in their power not to fail because they believe that it's the worst thing that can happen. As much as nobody prepares or plans to fail, it should be taught during this youthful period that failure isn't always finite. Sometimes failure can honestly be, as ironical as it sounds, can be a good thing. I saw a video once about Denzel Washington where he said something that ease is a greater threat to success than failure is. And sometimes if you think about it even logically, if you're driving on a road that is very smooth, no potholes, nothing whatsoever, you have a higher chance of getting into a car accident like that. There's a reason almost every good road that is so smooth, people keep, even sometimes the individuals who live on the road don't even ask for permission from this and they put their own speed bumps on that road. The reason is that people tend to just forget about the navigation when they are on a very smooth road. So you have a higher chance of running into a problem. But when there are certain bumps sometimes and all that, you find that you're paying attention more. Anybody who has driven on any Nigerian road now knows that it's not about you alert, but that you can barely sleep there because you're going to be entering potholes the size of craters that, so you pay more attention when you have that. So this is also a good time to teach children about not stressing out so much about failure. Not that you're going to teach them, of course, plan to fail, but to teach them about getting back up even if they do. So teaching appropriate financial management is also key around this period. There are a whole lot of kids who are raised sometimes are not actually told what it is about financial management, how to manage money, how to save for the future and all of that. And that's a good time to teach about that because that can predispose them to mental health challenges. Social media and peer pressure. Now, social media has been talked about so many times. I mean, you have the good, the bad, and the ugly. There's so many, you can find anything on social media. As negative as social media can be, it can also be very positive. One of the best things that may have been seen because of this whole COVID, because everything has a silver lining, every cloud rather has a silver lining. With the rate of unemployment skyrocketing everywhere globally, especially here in Nigeria, you'll find that social media has become a platform where a lot of young people are beginning to take their life, take their the bull by the horns, basically. I feel like there's almost no need you want to think about now that you put into Instagram, for example, and you won't find somebody that's what they're doing. I mean, anything from gift wrapping to delivering small chops at your door and all that. Young people now are using social media, which, by the way, everyone talks about as being an avenue for seeing so many things and negative things and all that. But people are using it positively. So it's in trying to encourage these people these young people to look more to the positive side and also help them cope with the negative side because it can never be all good. With every good thing comes with the bad and the ugly, like I said. So social media, I said, sometimes can be the elder brother of peer pressure in the sense that peer pressure before, when we didn't have social media, so you have sometimes just your classmates to compete with. But now you're a Nigerian girl here and an 18-year-old girl here in Nigeria, you have to compete with an 18-year-old girl in the US who doesn't know you and all, but you can see the person on your phone because of social media. So teaching young people the right way to use social media so that they don't use social media and their peers as an external yardstick for how to determine whether they look the right way or whether their lives are going the way they're supposed to and all of that. So that's where social media and peer pressure, the need to shine the light more on the positive side while teaching them to cope with the negatives that come with that. So not to label themselves based on the negative comments that somebody's behind their phone writing because they don't like the way they look and things like that. So that's where social media and peer pressure come in. Next slide, please. So, well, I think I've already said that. They just need to guide on the positives and also to remind, so there's necessary to remind young people about the right role of peers. No man is an island. So no one is saying don't have friends. Everybody sometimes will benefit from having a group that they can refer to, but teaching them the right way to use it, just like with social media, is very important. Now, the rise of the use of psychoactive substances, we're talking anything from alcohol to different forms of drugs, marijuana, methamphetamines, and all of that. I mean, it's everywhere. You see it, and it's not just because of the fact that it's increasing. It's how it's being. Basically, the word is it's being made into a cool thing. Now it's like part of the it group. It's something people brag about. You hear people, and if you're not doing that, apparently you're not really cool. So it's really important to remind people of the dangers of psychoactive substance use. It's seen everywhere from physical reasons to mental health reasons. I have so many patients now that are primarily on antipsychotic drugs being managed like patients who are patients who suffer from schizophrenia. And these patients are actually they weren't born with this. They started taking these medications. And unfortunately, no two people are created the same way. So the problem with using the psychoactive substances is that they always seem to say they know a friend who's used that, or they're using this to cope with boredom and all of that. And because maybe the other person doesn't have a genetic predisposition to psychosis or something, nothing really happens to the other person. But a large number of people, a very large number of people, don't know that they have a predisposition to psychosis and they start using the substances. And before you know it, they're on antipsychotics, and some of them have to be on antipsychotics, sometimes even for life. So whatever the reason for this rise in psychoactive substances, it is something that should be, continued, that we should keep trying to tackle, because you have a whole lot of young people who at 22, 23 are coming down with psychotic illnesses, which, as you know, usually when someone has a psychotic illness, it can go on to really deter the rest of their lives. Next slide, please. So basically, in conclusion, mental health awareness is important to all age groups. However, the period of youth is particularly more sensitive to life stressors. Providing nurture as adequately as possible is crucial in paving the way for an individual. Career paths and purpose discovery should be aided by guidance counselors and parents and guardians as well. Social media and peer influence should be addressed, and the use of recreational drugs should not be overlooked. So, next slide. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much for breaking it down so well. Thank you so much, Dr. Chukwu. Amazing, amazing. Please, a round of applause for her wherever you are. You could just send a clap on the messages. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Chukwu. That was really, really amazing. Really, really amazing. So this is the point where we will have an interactive session with her. If you have questions, please, this is a good time to ask questions. There were so many wonderful points she made. One of them was the last one that she said. She talked about you having psychosis. I mean, you can be predisposed to having a psychological issue without knowing it. And then someone else has a higher and better level. And you see two people engage in the same thing, but one comes out with psychological issues and the other one doesn't have it. And you're wondering, isn't it the same thing they both had? So this is really, really an interesting one. So, but please, if you have questions from all she's said so far, very amazing points that she scored there, please, you can drop it as a message or just raise your hand and we'll give you some time to ask your question directly. Thank you so much, Dr. Chukwu. That was really so insightful. That was really so insightful. So any questions? Let me check our messages. Let me check our messages. Okay, if you have questions, you can drop on the chat or please raise your hand and we'll allow you to speak. Then also follow her on her social media handle. The social media link is just there on the message section right now. Kindly follow her and you can get updates on all that she has to offer on mental health right there. And of course, this is specifically for young people. So if you have young people who will need such talk and help, please, you can reach out to them, send them the link too. I see some hands up. Shedoze, your hand is up. All right, we can unmute you. Yeah, okay, you're muted already. So please go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Shedoze. And it's been a long time I've been trying to be part of this, but because of work, but thank God now I'm a bit free. Yeah, I have a question about mental health. Is it becoming a growing issue, especially in Africa, in Nigeria, from what I've been watching? Fairly, just like the doctor said, with the rise of social media, there has been a lot of mental health cases. In fact, yesterday I just read that a family man took his own life because he has been in so much debt and his business spiraled, did spiral down in a very short time. So he was so depressed that he took his own life. So a lot of mental health issues due to people being, people be feeling that they are not doing anything just because of others who they think are doing better than them. In the light of mental health issues, I'm really concerned, and I would really love to help people, especially if someone has a mental health issue, for example, a debt or like debt, like owing a debt or financial pressure. And then, of course, the best way of solving that mental health issue without asking is to find a way to sort out that issue. And I found out that a lot of people have weaponized it, have used it as a means of scamming, of fraudulent acts. And this is really a shame, a very sad situation. So my question is, how do we help? Because you see a lot of people on Instagram saying, I'm suicidal, I have twins, and I can't feed them, I will commit suicide if you don't give me 2,000 naira now. Situations like that, and you see that lots of them have come, and you don't even know which are real. And because you don't know which is real and which is a scam, you end up either helping the wrong people or not helping at all, and people keep having issues. So how do we sort out these issues? Yeah.
Thank you, Chidozu. I think we've gotten the point on your question. Thank you. So in order to be able to have other people ask questions, I think we'll take the questions once and then Dr. Chukwu can, handle them at once. So I see Dr. Chukwu, the Ufonda's hand up. Can we have you on, please? Kindly go ahead with your question.
Hello, guys. Thank you so much. Can everybody hear me, please?
Yes, we can. Good to have you on. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you, guys. So amazing to have Dr. Chukwu back, and so amazing to know that the whole crew today are all ladies of substance. So I'm so excited. I just want to make a few comments about the topic for today and to make it very obvious what's going on. You see, there is this popular saying about your vibe determining your tribe and your tribe determining your vibe, especially as so many youths in Nigeria are currently going through transition from strife, from politics and all that. Whatever we are discussing today and whatever we discuss every month in FACEYOUth, you can actually transform your life by showing up every day. And you should understand that we were once youths before we arrived at where we are today. And nobody succeeded all the time. Some of us fell into success. Nobody succeeded in everything they did in life. Nobody, not even one person. But social media is a place people come to project the good. But social media is filled with the good, the bad, and the ugly. So your duty is to look at someone you are actually emulating, someone you think is your mentor or your model, and model the good stuff. There is absolutely nobody that has not experienced a negative thing today. We've all experienced that. But when a youth go out there and you see someone you probably feel you're in competition with, if you're not careful, you go down the drain. Now, some people have familiar disposition for a couple of mental health problems, like Dr. Chukwu rightly mentioned. So if you're in school or if you have a couple of friends, you guys go about to drink and smoke, some of them can smoke and drink depending on their natural capacity of how their body handles stuff. And you can just take one sip or you can just smoke one Igbo and you land yourself in trouble. So there are familiar dispositions of a couple of mental health issues that might not even be manifest. And especially in an overt spiritualized society like Nigeria, where everything is all spiritualized, so you can show some tendencies and they would send you to church instead of sending you to mental health providers. Thankfully, we have so many providers out there. We have so many mental health specialists, and talk therapy and events like this can help a lot of youths to arrive at their final destination. So remember, failure is part of the process. You have to fail, but it's staying down when you fail that is failure. But when you fall, you get yourself up and you keep going. And in this era of social media, there are so many ways you can be meaningfully engaged when you go out there, and you will be glad you did so. So great job, guys. I'm so impressed. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that contribution. It makes a whole lot of sense. Thank you. All right, I have another hand up. We will take the questions quickly so we can move over to the breaker, and also Dr. Chukwu can respond to them. I see another hand up. I see Raymond. Raymond, please go ahead.
Okay, good day. My name is Raymond from Nigeria. I actually have two questions, so let me quickly go through it. So you made mention of parenting. You said how the parenting process in a child's life actually affect a child, then transition to adulthood and all. So the main question I have here is, you get to see a lot of, in quote, African parents not having this orientation. You understand, this orientation on career paths or on how kids' decisions are very valid. You get to see a lot of parents trying to put their ideologies, everything they want on a child, and it affects a child. So how could you suggest a process in which kids or youth could go about this in a less violent way to actually have good communication with their parents? Because a lot of parents are they are very insisting on having kids do things their own way. Then my second question is, could it be like a therapeutic method that young people would be able to use to cope through situations? Like the fact being in Nigeria alone is enough to bring young people down. So if you could suggest a therapeutic process that would actually help young people, because me myself, I would like to take a day off from work, go to like get a rehab community and talk with people. So if you could suggest, based on your specialty, if you could suggest therapeutic methods I could use to actually help people to go a long way. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Raymond. Very interesting questions. Thank you. We have Honorable Peace, but I think your hand has been up for a while, for a very long time now. So I'm wondering, Peace, do you have a question? Honorable Peace, do you have a question?
Sorry, hello?
Hello, Honorable Peace, do you have a question?
No, sorry, my hand is up.
Your hand has been up for a while, yes. And Raymond, you could also take your hand down since you're done with your question. All right, thank you, people. Thank you so much for those interesting questions. So just to add to the question, Dr. Chukwu, mine would be, how do you get people to focus more on the positive things, especially using social media? Because you said something, you said that you have the good and the bad there. And as much as people think that social media has been very harmful to young people, it has also been very helpful, because you see a lot of youngsters do business on social media. And a lot of other positive things go on there too. So how can we harness that some more and project that some more? I mean, is there a way, we can amplify those positive aspects of the social media? You could also throw more light there. All right, so you have about 4 to 5 questions for you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you could go ahead to address them.
All right, thank you so much for your question. So the first person asked about, he was talking about how to know which ones are scams and which ones are not. The truth is, I mean, unfortunately, people would always be able to use even the worst circumstances to, to do whatever they want to do, including scamming people. The thing about giving money over social media, giving money to people you don't know, is that may not really put a dent in what you're trying to address. Because what you're trying to address is a situation where, like you said, somebody who is maybe suffering from a debt, for example, and the person is so bothered by this that they feel like they should take their own lives. Unfortunately, when it comes to suicidality, it's not always there's no one size fits all. More oftentimes than not, people who say that they're suicidal on social media are usually not suicidal. I said more oftentimes than not. It doesn't mean that it's not possible to find a situation where that's the case. But as a rule, a lot of the time, people who actually end up committing suicide mainly take time to make sure that it's hidden from people. It's usually in the subtle signs you see, sometimes even unfortunately, after the person is gone, that it is almost clear that, okay, yeah, maybe there were certain things I may have overlooked. But it's not typical sometimes to hear someone who is actually suicidal writing, for example, give me 10,000 naira for this, or I will take my life. Like, usually that's not what you will find with people who are suicidal. Unfortunately, there's a growing burden of financial, there's a growing burden when it comes to financial stress these days, because the economy is really, really bad. And there are other stressors. So it's not, there's no definite way to know whether somebody who is in a lot of debt is going to honestly commit suicide. Unfortunately, a lot more things also play a role. The person may already have a predisposition to, feeling burdened by life events and all of that. So honestly, the best way to help is actually pointing people towards these kind of channels. because you may try on your own to try to encourage people as much as possible. But when you're not necessarily trained to do so, you may not be able to say, sometimes in meaning well, you can say something to somebody that may push them over the edge. One of the things I think I've noticed before when I talk to somebody, I said there's something called false positivity. So somebody's telling you, see, I'm in debt and all of that. And in trying to help the person, say, see, at least person no die, you are alive. Because you know this person's neighbor, two of their children just died and all that, and you mean well. But a lot of the time, sometimes when you say that to somebody who is actually having that kind of burden, that might be what will push the person over the edge, because what the person hears is, wow, I'm actually complaining. I shouldn't even be complaining, because before people become suicidal, there's something that they experience called pathological guilt. So they already feel guilty. So that person you're talking to is already feeling guilty that he hasn't settled his debt. He has a family too. And then now he has another thing to feel guilty. I'm even now complaining about something I'm not even supposed to complain about. So the best way sometimes to help, if you see someone you can help financially, do that. But you have to be careful in this time with fraud. But then again, pointing people to appropriate channels where they can get expert mental health care. Because in fact, my page on Instagram, I said sometimes that's my way of giving therapy on a broad scale. And there are more people who are doing that. There are so many pages like that, because even I have to draw sometimes from people like that, because I mean, I'm not all knowing either. So there are so many channels for that, which will, this will almost answer the last question. So when I get to the last question, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to try not to dwell too much. So let me move on to the next question. When it comes to parenting, I think somebody asked about how to have a good communication with parents. The truth is, I mean, that's why I kept on saying, I'm not telling anybody how to parent. It's a very sensitive subject. Nobody, I mean, I'm only new to parenting. I have an 8-month-old, and so I can't claim to know it all. I have parents as well. I may not have agreed with everything or agree currently with everything my parents do. But that's why I said nobody was born into the role of parenting with the skills to be a parent. It is one of the jobs, it's the most important job you get, and the most important job and the job that will make you struggle the most. However, as a young person, the first thing you need to remember, as much as possible, and this is true, maybe not in every case, but in most cases, I can't stick my neck out and say most cases, almost every parent means the best for their kid, as uncomfortable as it may feel. It's even as crucial as sometimes when, well, my baby girl refuses to eat, and you see me pressing her mouth and forcing that spoon in, and she's crying, and I'm shoveling spoons into her mouth. Now, of course, it doesn't feel good to her. And if you're looking at me, it doesn't look good. I'm shoving food in her mouth, but am I doing it because I love her or because I hate her? So as a young person, I know it can be frustrating sometimes when you're talking to your parents and it seems like they're not trying to hear what you have to say. It's not easy because you're beginning to transition from that childhood independence, and being a teenager sometimes, that's why I talked about the prefrontal cortex. One of the problems of having an underdeveloped prefrontal cortex is that you think you know everything. That is it. I said it's like one of the biggest challenges of teenage. As a teenager, you honestly think you know everything, even as in early adulthood. But sometimes these people are trying to prevent you from maybe falling into traps that they have seen people fall into. That being said, to be fair, the truth is, as older people, which is why, again, these platforms are being set, I talk to parents too as well. The world is somehow transitional, that is trying to transition from quote unquote African parenting, where we believe we know what's best for children. And being more mental health minded is trying to understand that your child may have a voice. So while still trying to guide, giving room when it is imperative to listen to what that child has to say. It's not always going to be easy as a young person trying to get your parent to understand that, especially if that's not something they're open to. So what you can do, one advice I usually give people is, if you know an adult that they listen to, see if you can get that person to understand your way, and not by I'm so grateful the person said, how do you communicate without fighting or whatever? Don't do that by throwing tantrums and deciding you insult the man and walk out and then you bang the door and all of that. No one is going to listen to what you have to say. But if you try to talk to somebody who you think has your parents' ear, especially if you think your parent may not be able to hear that from you, talking to somebody who can talk to them, that's one way that can help. He talked about therapy for young people. He said what's therapeutic activities or exercises for young people. Yeah, I mean, fortunately, the world is becoming a global village where, I mean, we're all on this platform now. And well, I'm sure if anybody started in the beginning, when we're introducing ourselves, we're talking about where we are. Some are in Aberdeen, some are in Enugu. There's access to a lot. And one of the things that happened, because again, I said almost every cloud has a silver lining. One of the things that happened with COVID is almost everything went digital. Everybody had to find a way to get services that they knew they had to people who they couldn't see. So because of that, the number of online therapy practices and all that are actually like legitimately accurate is like it's growing. A lot of these Instagram, if you go on Instagram, you find a whole lot of pages where it's almost as if the things you're reading there are addressing actual life problems that you have. You see these things going on. So these therapeutic things that young people can do, there's a lot of them. There are so many coping strategies that you can pick up. And even if you don't want something online, something you want to do personally, it's like with everything. These days, if you want to find, do research on anything, you go online, you Google it, you go on YouTube and all of that. You can actually search for things that you feel like will now be therapeutic. So you have blanket things, like what they tell you, things like try and get a new hobby, to try and learn to do this, try and learn to do that. And those things are good because sometimes an idle mind really is the devil's workshop. So the more idle you are, which sometimes people can't help, like things like strife and all that were mentioned before, but not every idle time has to be idle time. If you go on YouTube, there's a lot you can learn. You can learn a new language from YouTube. You can learn how to make wigs and, shoes, everything. Like literally everything is out there, up there on the internet. So this is going into the last question about how to get people to focus more on the positive things. It's ironical that the last video I put up, not ironical, it's serendipitous, I guess. So it's serendipitous, honestly. It almost seems as if it was planned. The last video I just put up on my page was where I talked about the honeybee versus the fly mentality. And I was first put onto that by my dad when he talked about it. And what that means, when I say that, is that the honeybee, even if there's a vast area of trash, the honeybee will fly over all of the trash and find, even if there's one flower there, that honeybee will go and look for that flower and perch on the flower, even if the whole place is covered in trash. Whereas the fly can fly over a meadow filled with beautiful lilies and daffodils and sunflower and all of that. And if there's a little pile of poop there, that's where the fly is going to perch. What that means is whatever you focus on is what will be the most prominent thing you see. So if you're on social media and you're looking for pages that will tell you mostly about the way you're supposed to look, the right way to look, you're supposed to either have abs here, you're looking for social media pages that tell you about the kind of body you're supposed to have, you're going to find a lot of pages that are telling you how the body you have is wrong. Whereas if you go to social media to look for the pages that would help you, looking for pages where maybe people who are struggling with life distance and looking for what they are doing to help each other, you will find a lot of pages that are telling you on how to cope with your life struggles. So it depends on what you're focusing on. Predominantly, whatever you focus on will be the most prominent thing you see. So a lot of people who are on social media and seeing mostly the negative things on social media, it's weird that even Mark Zuckerberg must have done his algorithm like that, because if you check all those ads that come up, whatever thing you find that you search the most, that's what to keep. So if you're looking at, let's say, makeup, for example, you'll find that a lot of pages that are selling makeup keep popping up on your page. That's the way the algorithm is tailored to focus on what you want. So if you're there looking for something that will tell you what is wrong with you, it will help you find all of that. But if you are there trying to find the flowers in the vast area of trash, then the flowers will keep coming to you. So I think of course, it's not rigid. Nobody's saying that life is just A and then we're there in B and C, and that it will take time. And that's why pages like this exist. That's why platforms like this exist, to remind you that you're not alone. That thing you're struggling with, even sometimes the most shapy and the most beautiful of them, we are all struggling with different things here or there. So as young people, trying to find channels where you can find people to encourage you and to give you tools to help you, like where you struggle. That's pretty much what we're doing. So I hope I tried to answer everybody's question. Right?
Very fantastic job. Thank you so much. A round of applause for Dr. Chukwu once again, everyone. Please, let's clap for her. Amazing, 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 amazing. Thank you. This is the point where we will take a break and have a music interlude. But just before that comes on, please, this is time where we really tell Dr. Chukwu, well done. Thank you. And then please, Ify or anyone who can access, please post her link again so people can go there. And Chinos, I see your hand up. You have a question or what? Please drop a message on the chat. Let's know what it is. Please, let's clap for Dr. Chukwu. I'm waiting for that ovation. If you can't talk or clap, audibly, please, I want you to drop it at the chat arena, please, the chat section, please. All right. Chino, so where are you flying to? All right. Okay. You're making him feel very high and fly. I guess that's what you're trying to say. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm going to have to
if
sign
people
off,
want to reach you, how can they reach you? Just on Instagram?
Yeah, so I think my Instagram handle is written on that page, and then I think if she posted the link up earlier.
Yes.
So, but yeah, if anybody else wants to, they also have my email address. I don't mind. Like anyone who wants to message me, I can always reply. So, thank you so much. I'm going to have to sign off now. Let me go attend to my real boss.
So much. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
You. Okay, so we'll drop your email address as well on that message platform. Thank you. Thank you.
So much.
At this point, we will be welcoming a very special lady for a music interlude. And I am talking about Favored Ajonu to come give us a music interlude. It's been an exciting one, really very informative. This is also being recorded. So after now, you can still go back and replay it. Then I want to remind you that there is going to be some gifts or prize, if I want to put it that way, for the most active participants to this mental health program by FACEYOUTH. Okay, for those who are in UK, they'll be getting a ticket for a train service. And then if you're in Nigeria, you're going to have 10,000 Naira. By the end of the whole event, we will check who the winners are. So if you have not invited someone to join us, you can still invite someone to join the program. And also, this is a monthly event. So each time you get more people to join and participate, in this program, you stand a chance of winning something really good, courtesy of FACEYOUTH and their sponsors. Once again, I'm Ifeoma Jumobi, Ify Melody, your host. All right, so let's bring on Favor. Favor, we can't wait to hear you. And when we talk about mental health, music is one way to relax, calm your head, calm your nerves, and we don't feel to have enough of it during our sessions here. So a round of applause as we bring on Favor. Favor is a singer, songwriter, fashion designer, and a pencil artist. And she will be giving us our sweet tunes here on this session. Welcome, Favor.
Hello everyone, I'm Favored Ajonu. It's nice to be here again, another monthly mental health seminar, to see all your beautiful faces and to learn from our amazing speakers. I want to say a special thank you to Madam Ify and to FACEYOUTH for giving me this platform to share another song with you. I'm going to be singing one of my favorite songs. I hope you enjoy. You gotta get up. You gotta get up and make a move, 'cause the world will never see you until you do. No, they don't really care what you're going through, so you gotta show them, baby. You gotta show them the real you. You gotta give them what you got. No, don't let them see what you're not, 'cause you are strong. You are wise. You are words beyond 1,000 reasons why. And you can't be perfect, baby, 'cause nobody's perfect, darling. But no, 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 there's nobody in this world like you. Yeah. Oh, what do you do when you can't let go? What do you do when you just don't know how you feel? And you know nobody knows how you feel. 'Cause everybody has their own damn problems, and everybody's trying to find their way. And day by day it's a struggle in this world. You know you have to hustle. Just know that you are not alone. You don't always have to be strong all by yourself. I say it's okay to ask for help. Now listen, people will find you, but they don't define you. And you will find people who help redesign you. People will find you, but they don't define you. And you will find people who help redesign you. You are a work of art, and you didn't think you'd come this far. Now here you are. Darling, you are strong. You are wise. You are words beyond 1,000 reasons why. And you can't be perfect, baby. There's nobody perfect, darling. But no, 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 there's nobody in this world like you. Oh, you know you're worth it, yeah. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. You know that you can't be perfect, baby. There's nobody's perfect, darling. But I love you just the way that you are. I love you just the way that you are, my love. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah.
Wow, 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 wow. Amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. A round of applause for Favor, please. A round of applause for Favored. Her Instagram handle is also being sent on the message and chat area. You can follow her on Instagram. A round of applause for Favored. Favor, thank you so much. That was a recorded one. I don't know if you're live here with us. I wouldn't mind hearing from you, but that is beautiful. In fact, all the while you were singing, I was just saying, okay, I'm coming for voice coaching. I'm going to come for voice coaching. Thank you so, so much. That was so beautiful. That was so beautiful. And you can imagine just playing that song, listening to it, and hearing it over and over. It will suit your soul, calm you down very well. I mean, okay, Favored is here with us. Favored, let's hear you, please. Let's hear you. Thank you so much for that beautiful piece. Okay, seems like your network connection is not too good. Hello, Favor.
Hello. Hi.
All right. Favored is having a little challenge with her connection. All right. All right. Thank you so much for that beautiful piece. So we're going over to the next session immediately. We're going over to the next session, and that will be the career clinic. All right. Favored, thank you. If you can hear us, we're all saying thank you so much for that amazing presentation. A pity you can't connect smoothly with us from where you are, but thank you so much. And I don't know where you are calling in from, where you're based. If you're in Enugu, I'll definitely be finding you soon. Okay, thank you so much. We are moving over. We're moving over. Next thing is the career clinic, and to present that would be Dominic Anekwe. And I will give you a brief on her profile, Dominic Anekwe. All right, Dominique she works as an undergraduate nurse at Alberta Health Services in Alberta, Canada. She obtained a BSc in geology from Nnamdi Azikiwe University in Nigeria and an MSc in petroleum geoscience from the University of Alberta, Canada. Although her background is rooted in geology, she has since transitioned into the health sector within Canada. She owns and runs a YouTube channel named Ada Canada, where she provides information on immigration and study and talks about her life as an immigrant in Canada, a geologist or geoscientist turned mental health caregiver. Let's welcome Dominic and Nekwe and to talk to us on Career Clinic. And of course, she also is an immigrant in Canada. She's experienced so many things and she wants to share from her wealth of experience today. And we are privileged to have her. Welcome, Dominic. Welcome. You can take over the stage now. Welcome, Dominic.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Well, it's morning here.
It's 4:20 here. It's evening and afternoon, but it's all good.
Good afternoon or good evening. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. So my name is Dominique, and well, I still remember some of your faces. So I know some of you probably might have heard about my story the last time that I was here. But anyway, for those of you who don't know, I moved to Canada in 2015. Initially, I came for my master's degree, and then after my master's degree, I just sort of started gradually transitioning my career because the profession that I was in wasn't a very promising. It didn't have any promising prospects in terms of future, in terms of growing. It was very difficult to find a job as a geologist, even after doing my master's. And so I decided to just transition into something that's more sustainable in the long term, because I didn't want to fall into that demographic of people who would get a job in the oil and gas sector, which is where my specialization is in. And then before you know what's wrong, you're laid off and just your life is just turned helter-skelter. So I wanted that stability. I wanted to be in a profession where, I'm rest assured that no matter where I go in this world, anywhere I find myself, I can work. And so I found myself in nursing. So that's like a brief summary. I'm still in the process of doing the career change. I'll soon be done by the grace of God. And I generally talk about getting admission because I know there is a very large number of people back home in Nigeria who are interested in moving abroad to study either to the UK or to Canada. And so my channel on YouTube usually just covers studying in Canada. I give tips on what the things that you can do to make your application stand out, how you can apply, how you can search for scholarships that are available, or schools that are seemingly cheap, because it's not easy. It's generally not cheap to study abroad. And so for this session, I'll just be covering mostly on scholarships. A lot of people, I think, don't have the right information because they tend to think that there aren't any scholarships available, especially ones that cater to people back home in Africa. And so there's like a huge information gap, if you call it like that. I'm saying this just based off of the people who have reached out to me via email from my channel. And I do want to say that there are scholarships available. It's just finding the information that seems to be a challenge with a lot of people because they don't know where to look. And so this is where I come in. I look for the information and then I come talk about it on my channel and then, just tell you this is how you can do it. So with regard to scholarships, I'm just going to talk about I have 4 different categories of scholarships, 4 different ways that you can offset the cost of your study if you choose to study in Canada, because it used to be a lot more affordable, but with the exchange rate and how like the Naira has been devalued, it's a lot more expensive now. So the first category of scholarship is what I like to call a stipend or a stipend. And this is more related to research funding. So for example, if you have a bachelor's degree and you would like to come to study in Canada for your master's degree, if you are the type of person who is more into research, you could apply for a research-based master's program. And in order to do that, you have to reach out to a potential supervisor or a professor within the faculty of the school that you're applying to. So a lot of them do have funding opportunities available whereby they've liaised with the government or with a certain company, and that company is funding the research, and then they in turn receive the funding and need people to help them or people to work with them in conducting that research. And so it's a lot. There's a lot of work involved, but if when you're successful, when you have the go-ahead, when you have approval from a potential supervisor or a professor, then what it means is that they are covering your tuition, they are covering your research, they are basically funding your opportunity to come, and in exchange, you have to work with that person, you have to work with that professor in order to conduct the research. So that's one good way to offset the cost of your education in Canada. Apart from your tuition being paid off, apart from the research that you'll be involved in that is funded, they also give out stipend. They give out a certain amount. It could range from, say, maybe something like $500 to about $2,000 or $2,500 in a month. And it depends on what you're working with. It depends on, like, everything is just based on discussion with your supervisor, because he's the one that determines how much he's going to give you. So in some cases, people who have received stipends usually say that it's not enough. For example, if you're getting maybe $1,000 a month as your stipend after all the expenses have been covered, expenses, I mean tuition, $1,000 a month technically will not really be enough to cover, like if you get $1,000 as your stipend, it's not really enough to cover your bills, because you have to pay rent, you have to feed, you have to pay some other bills, electricity, internet, and all of those things, even if you're sharing. So what other people do is, with the stipend, they combine it by looking for jobs. So depending on what area or what sector, there are jobs available. And then some people would rather just go for the blue collar jobs, because those ones are very easy to get. And it's only a temporary situation pending when you finish your master's, but it's really a good way to just kind of add to what you have so that you can offset the cost of your education, so that you can, you'll be able to take care of yourself on your own in Canada. So that's it. And then also, in addition, another way that people are able to offset the cost of tuition is by working as a research assistant or a teaching assistant. Again, the people who are involved in this kind of job opportunities are those who are actively doing research. So they are doing a research-based master's or doing a PhD, for example. You can liaise or work with your potential supervisor to teach people who are in undergraduates, teaching labs or teaching a particular course. And it's a great way to also kind of help with your tuition and give you that experience. So it's kind of like a win-win situation. You have your tuition covered, you have your research covered, but you have to also give something in return. So I hope everybody is understanding what I've said so far.
Yes, we are.
Okay. So the second category that I have here is the merit scholarships. Now, this merit scholarship, anybody can win it. It doesn't matter if it's a bachelor's or master's or PhD, anybody can win a merit scholarship. Now, I like to call it merit scholarship because it's scholarship that you don't apply for. You don't do anything. All that is required of you is just for you to have good grades. So for example, if you're applying for a master's, any kind of master's, whether it's a research master's or a course-based master's, especially for something like a course-based master's or for something like bachelor's, usually when you apply for admission to a school, for example, in my alma mater, University of Alberta, they have a number of scholarships. I think there is one particular scholarship that is up to $10,000 or more than $10,000 for international students. And it can be anyone. It can come from, like, there is no restriction as to which kinds of people that they will give the scholarship. So it's that kind of scholarship, they look solely on your grades from your previous post-secondary institution or secondary institution. So for that kind of scholarship, it's very competitive because there are so many people applying and they have so many applications to consider. I know, I'll use myself as an example. When I was applying to the U of A, I know I had good results. I didn't finish with a first class from my school in Nigeria, but I had a 2-1 and my results were really good. But regardless, I applied for admission. So even though I got the admission, I still got a notification saying that, because I indicated interest for the scholarship, but I got a notification saying that I wasn't among the selected applicants for that particular scholarship. I'm sorry, at this point in time, I can't remember the name, but I know, like, I wanted that scholarship that was up to 10,000, but I didn't get it. And I understand then that, I'm not the only one, in as much as I think that I did my best in my undergrad and I have good grades, I know that there are other people who are better qualified because their grades are a lot better. Their GPA was a lot higher than mine, especially when you convert it to Canadian standard. So merit scholarship is something that it's just heavily on your grades, your GPA. So what I usually try to tell people is, if you're in school, maybe you're in secondary school or you're still in the university, maybe about to graduate, just try to make sure that your grades are really on the high side, your GPA is really on the high side, because that's really the only thing that they consider that makes you to stand out. So, and there are a lot of them that are available in different schools. For example, University of Alberta, University of Calgary, University of Manitoba. Many schools, many of these popular schools in Canada have those merit scholarships under different names, and you don't need to apply for those scholarships. All you need to do is submit an application to the school, pay the application fee, that's all. So as long as you've applied to the school for admission, then you'll be considered in the pool. So, and then there are some other merit scholarships. Those ones you can find in the Government of Canada website. For example, something like the study abroad scholarships. I saw that one in the Government of Canada website recently. I didn't even know something like that existed, but it's a scholarship that they give to certain individuals from certain African countries. So it's only for, I think, a number of African countries, and Nigeria is in that list, or Nigeria is among the list of African countries that they will consider. So that kind of scholarship, it's a merit scholarship, and it is worth considering, but as long as your grades are good, then you qualify for that scholarship. And then the third category is that I have here is the external scholarship. So I call this external because these are the kinds of scholarships that you find outside of the school. They're not really affiliated. Some of them aren't affiliated with the school. Some of them you get from external bodies. For example, the Government of Canada website. On the Government of Canada website, you find something like, for example, the Vanier Canada Graduate Scholarship. That scholarship is one of the highest scholarships ever, and it's only for those people who are doing their PhD or applying for a PhD program. That's an example. there are also some other scholarships that you will find on the Government of Canada website. It just depends on where you're coming from, because some of them, like the way the website is set up, some of the scholarships are subcategorized on the basis of where you're coming from as an international applicant. For example, people from the Caribbean, from Jamaica and some of those other Caribbean countries, they have a scholarship that is dedicated to them. So if you are an indigene or a citizen of any one of those countries that are in the Caribbean, then you can apply for that scholarship. They also have like a partnership with Asia, some countries in Asia, where they offer out scholarships to those people who are coming in from Asia, and I think Europe as well. So external scholarships generally would be the type that you will find that is not necessarily affiliated with the school. But then those types of scholarships are the types that some of them, majority of them, you would have to apply for. So you have to submit an application for that scholarship in order to be considered. Those types of scholarships, again, are the types where you will be required to write an essay. For example, they would definitely give you a prompt, or it would have to be an essay on why you think you deserve the scholarship, or, you know, just something. It depends on how they have organized it, because there are so many of them. If there is anybody who is interested in coming into Canada, there is an external scholarship that this one I actually received. I didn't think I was going to get it. I didn't even know in time. And it's called the Edmonton Community Foundation Scholarship, the ECF scholarship. So this is an external scholarship. And under this body, they have more than 20 different scholarships for different categories of individuals. So they have the ones that are dedicated to international students that international students can apply for. They have the ones that citizens and permanent residents can apply for. They have the ones that people who are doing their undergraduates can apply for. They have the ones that people who are also doing graduate studies can apply for. So there's a long list of them there, and it's very easy to apply, but I think the one challenge is the essay, writing the essays. Because you have to demonstrate that you really need, you know, this scholarship. You have to be able to explain in your essay, why do you think that they should award you with the scholarship? You know, you have to be able to demonstrate financial need for those kinds of scholarships. And that was the case in my experience. Another thing with scholarships that I like to hammer on is with regards to the application, in terms of like preparing yourself to meet with the opportunities that are available, which is what I tell people from Nigeria. Try to get involved in volunteering, because volunteering is a very big deal in Canada. No matter where you go, it doesn't matter if it's here or if it's Ontario or a different school. Volunteering and community service are very big here in Canada. They really consider them a lot. And if you're applying especially to external scholarships, they want to see, there are some scholarships that will ask you to demonstrate community service or leadership or volunteering. And so for those kinds of scholarships, then you have to show that you're actively doing something in the community. It could be anywhere in this world. For example, maybe you've done something with Red Cross, or you've done something with Save a Life or the Blue Cross or something like that. Any kind of volunteering activity where you're giving back to the community, it's really very important. Have it under your belt. If you're trying to apply for a scholarship, have it under your belt, because it is a very big deal. And when you get into volunteering, don't just do it with the mindset that I'm just doing it because I want to apply for the scholarship. It's something that you have to actually be involved in, because at the end of the day, you know, like these people, they have a way of doing background checks, right? You will need to provide a letter from that volunteering organization that you're with. You need to provide references. You need to provide like record of the things that you've done with that organization. So it's not just about joining the organization and then maybe just not participating in anything that's been done. Some of these volunteering, you can actually do it online if you're not able to go in person. We have some we have some organizations where you volunteer online. For example, you tutor or you act as a mentor to a mentee, somebody in high school or a youth or somebody in middle school. So really important to get involved a lot in volunteering and community service. For community service could be something like maybe doing sweeping the streets, like you gather with a group of individuals and you try to sweep the street or the road and clear dirt, or maybe you go to like, say for example, the orphanage or the hospital or maybe homeless institutions, and you distribute food or you distribute clothing items to, you know, those kind of people who are in dire need, who can't support themselves. So it's a really great thing to have under your belt, and it also helps you to just kind of, I don't know, just be able to give back, because it's not all about just taking. You should be able to just give back and serve the community that gave you that opportunity in the first place. So I wanted to stress on that. The volunteering and community service has been very important. And then another category that a lot of people, and I fall into this category because when I was doing my master's, I waved it aside, and that's how I missed out on the opportunity, is what I call bursaries. So bursaries are funds that are given to you, but you don't pay it back. It's more like a grant, if you would call it that. So bursary is something that is actually attached to the school. So for example, when you get admission to a school in Canada and you come in and start school, bursaries usually open, the applications usually open at the start of the semester. Every semester, the applications open, and there are so many of them. There are so many bursaries. So all you have to do is just apply. It's really straightforward. It's very self-explanatory, the application, and again, demonstrate financial need. In some bursaries, you have to also show that volunteering activity or the act of community service, but it's money that is given to you, but you don't pay it back, compared to, say, taking a student loan. So one thing I advise people is, because people tend to overlook bursaries being that it's a small amount, you know, there are some bursaries that are $250, $500, $1,000, $2,000. What I tell people is, apply to as many as possible, right? Don't just apply to one, because if you apply to one, then you tend to see it as, oh, I can't apply to this because this is not enough for me. There's nothing like something not being enough, because you are the person who is coming here. You're a student. Students don't have money. Students are always looking for ways to survive. So apply to as many of these scholarships or as many of these bursaries as possible. And it increases your chances, because, for example, if you see, maybe if you enter into a school, the financial aid section of a school, and you see like 10 different bursaries, and you read up on the requirements for those bursaries, you read up on like the grades that you need to have or things that you need to show or prove, things that you need to do, you read up on all of those 10, you apply for all of those 10. Let's say the total amount for all the 10 bursaries would be, I don't know, maybe say somewhere between 10 to 15,000. Apply for all the 10 bursaries, as long as you're qualified, as long as you meet with what they are asking for, you meet the requirements of what they are asking for, apply to as many of them. And it increases your chances, because you could be lucky enough to get 5 out of the 10 of them that you applied, and 5 could be like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and it really just takes off the pressure from the total amount of tuition that you would spend. So, you know, I try to encourage people to not, like, there is no amount that is too small. As long as you're a student, there's no amount that is too small, but the trick is that you can apply to as many as possible, and it increases your chances, so that when you combine, like if you apply for 10, 15, 20, and let's say you get all 10 of them, that's a lot of money. money that you've gotten compared to you just applying to only one and trying to talk yourself out of it and be like, oh, you know, it's competitive. Yes, it's competitive, but at the same time, right, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is that you don't apply, and at the end of the day, you don't get it. But you can put in your best foot forward, and you never know, right? I've been a recipient of scholarships before since I moved here, and all of them were scholarships that I didn't think I would get, but I still applied anyway, regardless, because I'm the one who is looking for the money. I'm the one who is looking for ways to offset the cost of my tuition. And, you know, I was lucky. Some I didn't get, but I've gotten a lot. And, you know, it's surprising, but then, you know, it's actually rewarding. And it just like, there's this sigh of relief when you get that email telling you that, okay, you're successful, you're among the 14 people they chose that is going to win this amount of money. It just brings so much relief, like, okay, fine. Like, you know, this will really go a long way for me. So, another place, or one of the last few things that I want to mention, sorry, I hope I'm not going too fast, but places to look for scholarship would be, I've mentioned before, the Government of Canada website. There is a dedicated scholarship section for students, for international students. I think you simply just go on Google and type Government of Canada or type Government of Canada scholarships, and then the first link that pops up, you click on it and it just takes you to the site. You see different scholarships there. There are engineering scholarships, there are scholarships for PhD, there are scholarships for masters, there are scholarships for bachelor's degree over there. Another way to search for scholarships would be going directly to the school. So for example, every school in Canada, every school website has a dedicated financial services section or financial aid, depending on how they've titled it. So you can type, for example, University of Alberta, and then once you get to the home page, you look for anywhere that says financial aid or just the finance section. And from there, right, look for scholarships, you look for bursaries, and it gives you a list of, you know, available scholarships or available bursaries with the deadlines, and then also the application dates, like when you can apply and when you can, the last day for you to submit your application. And then I think generally just searching for scholarship is something that you have to be actively seeking, and you have to be focused on it, because, you know, the information, I just believe that the information is out there. It's just you just being patient and taking out the time to really go in hard and then look for the information. And then in some other cases, right, you could ask the instructors, you could ask the school or the administrative department, or, you know, like just ask questions. There's really no harm in asking questions, and no question is stupid, right? You can ask. If you don't know, always ask, because that's how you satisfy your curiosity. So you can always reach out to an instructor to say, oh, I'm interested in this, you know, scholarship. I'm really looking for a scholarship. I don't know where to look, or like, do you have any for me? Sometimes they will mention a scholarship that you didn't even think existed, or they would kind of nominate you just based on how the relationship that you have with them is like, right? If you're a good student, and if you're like the type of student that doesn't give the instructor problem, if you have a good rapport basically with your instructor, right? Your instructor could nominate you and tell you, I'm nominating you for this scholarship, or I have this number of people to nominate, but I want to put you because I can see that you're really doing the hard work, and I know you're trying, you're really doing your best. So these are some ways that you can seek out scholarships in Canada. It's not an easy thing, but like I said, just try to stay dedicated, committed, and especially patience, because it's not something you just find in one day. It's something that you have to take your time, and you keep planning, and you keep preparing yourself for that opportunity. So I think that's about all that I have for scholarships within Canada. And I'm happy to entertain any questions at this point.
Thank you so much for the presentation, Chinosa, I see your hand up. You have a question already. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dominic, thank you. Please, a round of applause for her. Can we clap and appreciate her for all that the very amazing insights she has just shared. Wow. I'm glad this is being recorded, really, so that a lot of people can go back, especially young people who need this information, and anyone amongst us who need this information, we can go back and listen to it, watch it all over again. Please, a round of applause. Let's appreciate her on the chat area. Let's appreciate her. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dominic. Okay, we'll go straight ahead to the questions. I see two hands up. I see Chime, Chinonso, and also see Raymond. They have their hands up. I guess you have questions. So let's go ahead with them. Chinonso, go ahead and ask your question, please.
All right. Good evening, Ify Melody, and good evening, Ada Canada. The Sparkling One on Radio. Thank you, Ada Canada. I've been a good follower of you since you spoke last at Face Youth Mental Seminar, and I've learned on your YouTube channel. But I thank God for this opportunity to ask you another question directly. So, Ada Canada, please, for some of us, don't laugh at me, please. Some of us who were all doing school, like we finished with 2-2, second class lower, but we're able to get maybe MBA and PGD in another skill. What is our hope of getting scholarship in Canada, especially some of us that have 2-2? When I mean 2-2, narrow escape, 2-2, although like course. Any hope for us?
Are you talking about in terms of applying for admission or just applying for a scholarship before coming to Canada?
Both of them, both of them, applying for admission and applying for scholarship in Canada. I have a lot of experience, both volunteer leadership and work experience, but I don't know if that can cover up for my bad results. And then I don't know if you can also summarize on some of the key documents that we may need. For instance, I heard that some schools in Canada have waived IELTS because we school in English in Nigeria. I'm not sure. So do we still need IELTS just for writing's sake? Do I need to write GRE? And the only thing I have is international passport and my transcript. So I don't know if it's enough.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll take another question so it can be addressed at once.
Okay.
Benedict Doris has a question, and Raymond. Okay, Raymond, go first, then we'll take Doris. Raymond, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much for the insight. I just basically have like a brief question. In terms of application for these scholarships, especially undergraduate and PhD, masters, do we have to apply for the school first before we're eligible for the scholarship, or we can just like do everything all together at the same time, starting afresh? So that's like the basic question I want to ask.
All right. Thank you very much for the time, Doris. Doris, please go.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Hello. Okay. Thank you so much. I was actually invited by Tumex, and this is my first time here, and I really enjoyed myself. All
right. That's good to know. Welcome.
Thank you, Ma. So please, I want to make an inquiry. In terms of Canadian application for a master's, I want to know if this application fee, is obtainable for all schools, or do we have other schools that one can apply for a master's that wouldn't require an application fee that is not refundable? And then I also want to make inquiries of the chances of one having a divergent degree. Let me say, okay, using myself for example. Yes, I've been engaged in some community development services and community services too. But my background was microbiology, biochemistry. Then I changed to public administration. I did a PGD public administration. I'm supposed to conclude. I should have concluded my master's in public administration, but I'm intending to move to social work. So I wouldn't know. My results in the BSc wasn't that good, but my results in the PGD was very good. So I wouldn't know my chances, and I would want to know how I can be able to collate these things together to get maybe a better placement for a scholarship and probably an admission in Canada. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Benedict. Thank you. So we'll take Wu Samuel. Samuel, let's have you.
Yeah. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. I skipped something. She made mention of the links for the scholarship. She made I can't remember actually, but she said something relative to how to contact a way to get to how do I put this? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. There was a way she said that we can actually access these scholarships, that we can Google whether it's Canada scholarships or something. I can't actually remember right now, but it's like something she mentioned that we can actually
she can
yes, we can follow to yes, we can access to follow the links on these scholarships. That's just all I want to know, so that I can follow up on them.
Thank you. Thank you. Dominic, over to you.
Okay, so I was trying to write everything down as fast as I could. So for the first set of questions, talking about documents needed in terms of IELTS, yes, we have some universities in Canada that don't require IELTS results from applicants from Nigeria. So I have made a video where I've actually come up with the list of those universities. And for those universities, for example, I don't know if you're writing anything, Chinonso, but you can look into University of Alberta. Recently, they just waived IELTS from applicants from Nigeria, courtesy of a Nigerian doctor that is doing his postdoctoral here in Canada. There's also Memorial University. There is also, I don't know why I can't remember, University of Carleton, for example. There is also University of Northern British Columbia. So those schools there, I have the video on my YouTube channel, but those schools specifically don't require IELTS from applicants from Nigeria. There are about up to 8, if not more than 10 of them now. So these schools, when you go to the website and you're looking at the requirements, there's usually a part where, because I like to tell people to please take the time to read every single line so that you don't miss out on information. But when you're looking at the requirements, there is a particular place where they put a hyperlink and say English language requirements, for example. They say, okay, we have there is a list of countries that are exempt from English language requirements. So when you click on the link that's provided, you look at the list of countries, you scroll down to N and check for Nigeria, and Nigeria is on that list. So what I usually tell people is, if you want to avoid or just bypass that whole IELTS result of a thing, just apply to a school that does not require it, because I understand it's very expensive to take that exam. So even if you don't write the exam to get into Canada, like even if you don't write it in order to get admission, you need it later on when it's time for permanent residency, but that's like still into the future. And then somebody mentioned like studying for an MBA program. I don't know if it's something you're doing currently or if it's something that you're looking into as a potential applicant. Applying for an MBA is it requires experience, work experience in something that has to do with management. There are different specialties under the MBA, like executive, there is finance, there is management, there is, they have different specializations just depending on the school that you're looking at. But an experience in something that is related to management or a managerial position, it can really help. There is this particular school where they don't really care so much about work experience for an MBA degree, and the name of the school is University Canada West. I think that school is a lot more flexible, so even if you don't have work experience, you can still apply for an MBA. And they also have some scholarships too. I remember browsing the school some months back and I saw like 10 different scholarships that you can apply for, like actually fill out an application for as an international student. So let me just repeat it again, University Canada West. Now, in terms of your grade for a second class lower, it's kind of, I like to think it just depends on the school and what they have stipulated as part of their application requirements. So a school would, maybe when you're doing your browsing and your research and you come, you see the general requirements, you see like, what do you need to have? Of course, they'll say, for example, if it's a master's degree, of course, they'll say they need a bachelor's degree with a GPA of this. Now, under that section, a lot of the time, they will say like, if you're an international student, especially if you're looking at the international student section, there's a portion, I wish I could do this on live demo, but there's a portion where you can go to and you see the equivalent of what they want from your country based on country. So from Nigeria now, most of the time they like to say 2-1 and above most of the time. I haven't seen anyone, I don't know of anyone who has been able to get into a master's program with a 2-2 degree. But what I do tell people is, just from the little research that I've done, it's kind of tough getting in. Reason being, it's not your fault. It's just based on the demand. It's based on how many people are applying for the same program that you're applying for and how many seats they have available. Sometimes if it's a competitive program, for example, say engineering, there are a lot of people who want to come into Canada to study engineering at a postgraduate level. And so if they have, for example, they want to take 80 students, this is just an example. If they want to admit 80 students is their quota. And the way that they do the selection process is, of course, definitely they will look at people who are citizens and people who are permanent residents first. They have a small number of seats for those people who are indigenous, from like indigenous Canadians. And then they now start looking at the international applicants. When they come to the international applicants, they do it from the highest and then move down. Sometimes when they reach their quota, that's it. They won't admit anymore. Some other times they'll put people on the wait list. And that's why you see the admission process takes longer, because sometimes they won't tell you that you're on the wait list. So it all just depends on the school, or rather, should I say the department and the criteria. So it's, I can't exactly say for sure if schools will admit with a 2-2, but in most cases, I've seen usually a 2-1 and above. Now, what I do tell people is, because I've had people who have lower than a 2-2 come meet me and ask what to do, can they apply for a master's? And I usually tell them, you may not be able to get in with a master's just because of how competitive the program that they're applying for could be sometimes, but you can apply to a college. You can apply to a college for something like a postgraduate diploma. You get in and make sure it's a program that you would spend more than 1 year to complete, just for the sake of getting work permits or getting your PR. So you can apply to a college here in Canada for a postgraduate diploma, And then when you get admission, complete that education and then see how you can boost yourself to apply for a master's degree. That's what I tell people. So you can combine both. You can combine that, but it's just that when you get the admission, when you come here for that diploma program, it's going to be a diploma. But when you get here for that diploma program, just make sure that you really do well and your grades are high enough. So when you finish, then you can try out applying for a master's degree. So that way you're combining both. And of course, with any relevant work experience or any other thing to support your application, it just kind of boosts, it just helps in any way that it can help. So the next question was, I think I answered this question. I'm not sure if I answered this question, but I did say that for an MBA, they will definitely need a work experience, except if you're applying for a school that is more flexible in their requirements, like University Canada West. But if it's to a very popular school, like say University of Alberta, you definitely will need work experience. And if you don't have work experience, it's hard to be considered. Then somebody asked the question on like whether you can apply for a scholarship before applying for admission or something along that line. And what I usually tell people is to apply for the admission first before applying for the scholarship. The reason why I say it is because when I try looking for video ideas that have to do with studying in Canada or scholarship or something, a lot of the scholarships that I've come across are attached to the school. So for example, I'll give you an example, University of Ottawa, they recently came up with or developed or created 2 scholarships for people from Africa. There are 2 scholarships from people from Africa. I made a video specifically for that school. So if you want to apply for that kind of scholarship, and it's for undergraduate, by the way, I don't know if they've changed it to include masters, but there are 2 scholarships that are strictly for individuals that are coming from any country in Africa. So if you want to apply for that African scholarship, you can't apply for the scholarship and not apply for admission because it's attached to the school. It is the school that owns, I don't want to use the word owns, but like you get the English I'm trying to say. It's the school that came up with that scholarship. So usually what I say is apply for admission to University of Ottawa. And then once you've applied, once you've paid the application fee, then you can then consider scholarship. Same thing goes for bursaries. Bursaries are attached to the school. So you have to have applied for admission. You have to have actually gotten the admission before you can access bursaries or before you can apply for bursaries. So most times, like when people come and they're like, oh, I want to apply for this particular scholarship, I always ask, have you applied for admission? Is there any program that you've seen in that school? Because if I say this scholarship is being offered by this school, it doesn't mean that it's offered by a different school. They are not the same thing. So, and it just, I don't know, but to me, it's off when you're only concerned about applying for this scholarship, but you're not really like applying for admission to the school. Okay, so how do you expect your application for admission to be considered? So usually my best advice is always to just apply for the admission. After you've applied for the admission, then we can then source for scholarships. Some people might have a different way of doing it, but I usually give this advice just because this is what worked for me. This is how I did it. I applied for admission before I applied for a scholarship. It was only after I started school that I started seeking out scholarships. The only case where I would say you can apply for a scholarship, well, I mean, even in this case, for example, something like ExxonMobil scholarship, I don't even know if that exists still in Nigeria, or the AGIP scholarship. For those kinds of scholarships, You can apply from your home country even before applying for admission, but at some point, you will need to apply for admission, because those scholarships they are not attached to any school. They are external, so they don't have any business in any school. But it's just that if you're a recipient of that kind of scholarship, then you will need to apply for admission to a school in order for that scholarship to be given to you. I mean, even something like Chevening, for example, Chevening that's in the UK, even if you apply to Chevening for the scholarship, you ought to have applied for admission into a school or university in the UK in order to get the Chevening scholarship, because otherwise, how else are they going to pay the tuition? How else are they going to award you the scholarship if you don't have admission into any school? So that's usually my best advice that I usually tell people, just based on my experience. And then for the next question, this lady asked about schools that do not accept application fee. If I'm correct, for schools that don't accept application fee, it's kind of tough. And this is one problem I have with Canada. I don't mean to complain or anything, but it's very annoying. I find it very annoying because if you look at countries like the US and especially the UK, one reason why a lot of people would apply to the UK is because you can sit down in 1 hour, 2 hours, or let's just say 6 hours and apply to more than 25 schools in the UK free of charge. All you have to do is just have internet connection. It's free. And that's why you have more opportunities to apply, or more time to apply, because one thing that hinders a lot of prospective applicants with Canada is the application fee. Application fee is usually between, let me say, $60 to maximum of $130, $150. And when you convert it to Naira, that's a lot of money. So a lot of people can't even afford that amount yet before we start talking about tuition. And so they're always looking for like places where it's just a lot easier. Even in the US, we have a lot of schools that don't have application fee, or there's some kind of waiver that they give. I've tried searching for that and to see how it applies in Canada. And in fact, I even tried making a video out of it. And within 5 minutes, someone commented and said, no, that's not true. This school charges application fee. This school charges application fee. So please double check. And I don't like to give people the wrong information. So I had to delete the entire video from my channel. So it's difficult getting a school where the application, you don't have to pay. When COVID was still, when COVID was still like the order of the day in 2020, and I think sometime in 2021, I learned from my subscribers, I learned that there were some schools that were waiving or reducing the cost of the application. For example, a school like University of Regina, if I'm not mistaken, I remember the comment section then, somebody said University of Regina, there is like a waiver where they waive off a certain amount from the application. But, regardless of that, I haven't been able to find any school. Every school that I've searched for, both the ones that are public universities and the ones that are private, have had some kind of fee attached. And it's usually the last step before your application is considered as submitted or completed. So unfortunately, we don't have that many schools that are application free. We don't have that many of them. And then the next question has to do with, I think it has to do with career transition. Like you have a BSc in microbiology, and then you did a PGD in public admin, and now you want to go into social work. I think it's good. So you could try applying for, here are two things that I can think of, like off the top of my head. You can apply to a college for maybe an advanced diploma. An advanced diploma takes about 3 years, but a regular diploma takes about 2 years. So you could apply for a diploma in social work to, for example, Makiwan University has a diploma program in social work. There are some other colleges like NATE, Northern Alberta Institute of Technology, or say somewhere like Algonquin College in Ontario. some of these colleges, they have diplomas in social work. And sometimes it's very easy to get admission to do a diploma program, and you can come here, right? Study for that diploma, get the diploma in social work, and then find how you can become registered, because social work is one of those licensed professions that for you to work as a professional in that field, you need to be a registered social worker. RSW is what they call that designation. So, or you could take a chance and then apply for a master's in social work. I feel like your experience, if your work experience, depending on how long you've been in social work, if your work experience is within the field of social work, it could supplement. So you could throw in your BSc degree in your application, put your degree in public administration, and then also talk about your experience in social work. So you could do that and just go directly to a master's. If that doesn't work out, then just go to apply to a college, or you could even do both at the same time. If you're able to afford both, you could apply to both at the same time. Whichever works is the one that you just take and then use it to enter into Canada. And then the last question that I have written down is someone's asking for clarification on how to search for scholarships. So the first thing I mentioned is Government of Canada. I can type it in the chat section after I finish, talking, but there is Government of Canada. Like, you can just open Google and just type in Government of Canada or Government of Canada scholarships. And then one of the first links that you see there, it takes you directly to the site where you can see the scholarships that are available. There are so many of them there, and it's categorized. So you can click on the link for bachelor's or master's or PhD, depending on which one that you're interested in going for. And then another way to search for scholarship is through the school website. So if you type a particular school, I don't know if you have done any research on schools that have, or schools that offer the program that you're interested in going into, but if you type that school, just look for, normally when you get to the homepage of a school, you see different icons or you see different tags there. So just look for the one that says financial or financial services or financial aid, something in that category that has finance there, right? And just click on that one and then take your time, go through it. There should be a place where you would see scholarships, or you would see tuition, or you'd see something like bursaries. So from there, you click on scholarships, and then it gives you a list of scholarships that are available, or it just gives you like what you can apply for, or which ones are considered as merit. That's literally how I source for information and then present it on my channel, just using the search button and just click, and then read up on it and try to find out what is required. And then the third one is, I think this one is more so when you've already gotten admission and you're already in Canada, is talking with your instructor. If you're doing a research, or even if it's not even research, if you have good rapport, or if you happen to develop a good rapport with your instructor, you can talk to them, meet them one-on-one, or through email communication, or maybe even after class, because we're back to in-person now, and then just talk to them and say, please, I'm really in need of scholarship. Do you know of anyone that I could apply for? Sometimes, not in all cases, it just depends on what's available. Sometimes they may have information, or they may know of scholarships that you don't know of, or sometimes there could be certain scholarships that will be on the website, but it's something that they give them a quota and they have to nominate a student for that scholarship. There are scholarships where students are nominated and put into a poll. I've had that direct experience. That was last year, where my instructor it's like when somebody mentions your name in a room full of opportunities, right? I was mentioned twice by two different people and nominated for the two different scholarships that I got last year. So, and I didn't even talk to anybody. I didn't even talk to any of the instructors. It's just, me being me, just doing me like a student, ask questions, or I don't know. So you think this is something that I feel like you think the instructors don't know or they are not watching, but they know. So, you know, one of the good ways to develop rapport is participating in class, asking questions, answering questions that you know the answer to. And even if you don't know the answer to, it's fine. There is no answer that is stupid because we're all here to learn. So having that good rapport, and then you can meet them directly and then ask them, please, I'm interested in a scholarship. Or sometimes they will nominate you, just depending on how good you are as a student and how they see, like how much effort they see that you're putting in.
Are you done?
Yes, I hope I answered all those questions.
That was so abrupt. And such a good ride anyway. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ada Canada. May I ask how you started answering that name?
It was, to be honest, I didn't come up with that name. It was my mentor. He was actually one of the driving forces that pushed me into coming to Canada, because I initially was not really into Canada. I was trying to go to the US, but he said, why don't you look into Canada? Why don't you look into Canada? And then after I had applied to the schools I applied to for my master's, I told him that I applied. And ever since then, like sometimes he would just call me Ada Canada. And so when I decided to start my channel in 2020, I just didn't want to use my real name. I didn't want like that association with me yet. I know like there are so many people who know me from LinkedIn on my channel, but I just didn't want to use my real name. I wanted an alias, and I just decided to go with Ada Canada. And plus, well, my best friend said he had a nice vibe to it, so I just stuck with it like that for my channel.
Yeah, and it sounds so great. Thank you so much, Ada Canada. If you look on the chat, you already see that people are clapping for you and thanking you for sharing so many wonderful insights here. And the good thing is that you're sharing from your experience. Thank you so much. You addressed the questions too well. Thank you. But for, of course, further questions and information, please, you can always follow Ada Canada on her YouTube channel and even on her Instagram channel. She is obviously a teacher herself. The way she took time to go into all the details. Thank you so much. In a short time, short while, you've been able to pass across so much information. Thank you. All right, we've had some talk, long talk. We'll take a break. And sorry, it looks like we're overshooting our time, but it's all for good. In a few minutes, we will be done. But we can't go away without having wonderful, melodious, beautiful tunes come from Angie the Great, who has been on standby ever since we started this program. And we can't wait to hear her beautiful voice, make us relax again this evening, afternoon, morning, whatever it is where you are. So please, a round of applause as we try to bring Angie the Great on. She's been so participatory throughout this event, and she is going to bless us with her beautiful voice. Once again, thank you, Ada. Thank you. And surely more people are going to reach you after now. Angie, are you here? Over to you, Angie.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Thank you very much.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you for the invite. Thank you, Ada Canada. Thank you, Ify. Thank you, everybody, for joining and all the guests. Thank you for your time. I've just got one song to sing, and it's One Love by Angie, and I hope you love it. Thank you so much for your time. The love that makes you great. Come on, we need the love that makes your heart beat. We need the love that makes you bleed. That's love we can share with one another. Hey, that's love we can share with one another. Every day, and you wake up to meet friends and families. We need love to hold up. Come on, we need love to make us better. We need the love to hold us together. Oh, we need the love to bind us stronger. We need the love to make us better. Oh, we need the love. It is one love. Come on, oh, daily, hourly, and weekly. Come together, sharing good things, sharing ideas. We need each other to make life better. Oh, although we are from different backgrounds, I know you are different, and I know I am different. However, now to make great nation, we need one mind, one love, one grace to pull through. We need the love that makes you great. Come on, we need the love that makes your heart beat. We need the love that makes you bleed. This love with the truth, where one another hope. That's love, yeah, yeah. That's love, true, true. That's love, yeah, yeah. That's love, true, true. That's love, yeah. Hope, hope. That's love with the truth, where one another. Oh yeah, hey. Oh yeah.
Wow, 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 wow. A round of applause for Angie the Great. Thank you so much. The song is making so much sense. I love the song. Is that your song?
Yeah, it's my song. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You wrote the song.
Yes, I wrote it myself. I think it was before the pandemic. So it's just a song that just encouraging everybody. So even if you're from Africa, from Canada, anywhere, it's just to love one another, or you're white or black or whoever, Asian or wherever you're from. I think it came out before, just one about the pandemic period. So it's just a song to encourage us to love one another, just one love, love ourselves and try as much as we can.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's
thank
beautiful.
you.
Has it been produced? Is it something one can download anywhere?
It's on Spotify, YouTube, Tidal, on all the platforms, all the streaming platforms, Amazon. It's just here. It's on all the platforms. So it's One Love by Angel That Great, and it's got the video is out as well. So yeah.
All right. All right. Thank you so much.
For your time.
I think
Thank you.
Ify has put up the link there so one can follow you on your Instagram. Thank you so much, Angie That Great. If there are other information on how one can connect,
I think we lost, Ify must have lost her connectivity.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Angie the Great. Really appreciate you. So we've actually come to the end of the program. However, as she announced during the start of the program, we are going to reward the person that brought in the most attendees. So if you can just type in how many people you brought so that we can confirm based on the people that are available here. So just confirm how many people you brought into the program. I know Sheila already brought in 5 people. So Sheila is a UK winner. Can we give Sheila a round of applause? So she's won the tickets, the liner tickets for this month's monthly mental health awareness seminar. The next person, so we need to reward the person that brought in the most attendees. The next person from Africa with 10,000 naira. So if you can just let us know the number of people you brought in, so that we can conclude. Yeah.
What happened?
Okay, I can't see many people. The only person that's responded is Edith. So Edith is a staff of Face Youth. However, since she's the only person that brought in 6 people, attendees, we are going to reward her. Then she can decide to either donate it back to Face Youth or give it to the people that she brought in as data. Yeah, so thank you everybody for joining. We've come to the end of the program. We really appreciate you all, your commitment, especially the people that are returning. We are very grateful. You are the reason that we continue to run this program every month. We would like to encourage you to try and tell your friend about it. If you really like what we're doing and you have been blessed this evening with information and knowledge on how to manage your mental health and also the career clinic. So we'll be having this career clinic every third Saturday of the month after the mental health awareness program, okay? So look out on our website for more information and, and also you can share the replay, from our YouTube channel. We really appreciate you all. God bless you and have a very good evening.